When we hear of the Titanic, one of the most shocking statistics we hear about is the number of people that perished in the disaster. But there were other passengers that have received a lot less attention. They were the animals on the ship. There were many animals on board the RMS Titanic on her ill-fated maiden voyage. The list includes dogs, cats, chickens, and birds. Only the first-class passengers were allowed to bring their pets on the ship. There are records of at least 12 dogs on the ship, although the number might have been higher. 3 of those 12 survived the disaster, and all the 3 dogs that survived did because they were small enough to be smuggled onto a lifeboat. Titanic had her own official cat named Jenny, who was known as the ship's little mascot for catching the mice and rats that were living on the ship. Fortunately, she had given birth just a week before the Titanic had set sail and was moved to the Olympic, the sister ship of Titanic, and therefore the cat survived. But there is a possibility that there were other cats on the Titanic. Most of the animals were kept on the F deck. It wasn't officially allowed, but some first-class passengers kept their pets with them in their cabins. The ship's carpenter, John Hutchinson, was responsible for the dogs' welfare. The kennel dogs were exercised daily by a steward or one of the bellboys. Most of the animals aboard the Titanic went down with the ship. It is said that at some point during the ship's sinking, someone who didn't want the animals to go down with the ship being locked in their cages freed the dogs from their kennels, and the anxious animals were seen running up and down the decks, adding to the chaos. The richest man on the ship, John Jacob Astor, also had a dog named Kitty that did not survive the disaster. Another passenger named Helen Bishop was traveling with her dog Frou Frou. Helen survived the disaster, but she had to leave her dog in her cabin because she would not be allowed on the lifeboat with her furry companion. But probably the most heartbreaking story would be of a first-class passenger named Ann Elizabeth Isham. Legends say that she tried to get on a lifeboat with her Great Dane, but she was told that her dog is too large for the lifeboat. She refused to board without her dog and got out of the lifeboat. She was one of the only 4 first-class passengers to die on the Titanic. In unsubstantiated reports, it is said that several days later, a body of a woman tightly holding what could have been a large shaggy dog in her arms was found floating in the debris. It is assumed that the bodies recovered were of Anne and her Great Dane, but the reports are unverified. Against the background of the situation, it is heartwarming to imagine that the woman and her dog were there for each other until the very end. In hindsight, the fact that only first-class passengers were allowed to bring their pets on board was probably a good thing, or the list of the casualties would have been much higher.